Hello. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Can someone confirm?
Yes, sir.
Audible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session. So, this session we will be, as I mentioned before in the last session, this sessions on Saturdays will be mostly directed towards the practical aspect of the course, right? I guess we have not moved into much of coding yet. We are just getting through the basics of web, how the web works, some terminologies here and there, and so we haven't dealt with any coding part yet. So, and I guess that will come. So I don't guess, I know that it will come in the week 2 onwards, right? So we'll start with basic markup and other stuff like HTML and things like that. Okay. So so basically the coding part of the course comes from week 2. If I'm not wrong, the content is out, right? Week 2 content is out. So I guess you might have got the idea of the content of week 2, and then there are some lab assignments also. So I hope you have started doing that. Yeah, take your time, because we'll be giving sufficient time to do that and sufficient time to get through the concepts, and if there are any doubts on that. But there is one particular thing that you may have seen in the week 1 content is some numerical based question, right? So things like round trip time, request per second, okay, bandwidth. Okay, so you may have come across these terms, and I hope to clear those terms in this session today. So this session will be dedicated to some of the numericals that we have come across in the week 1. Okay. The reason being, we haven't gone into the coding part yet, so we'll not go into the coding as of now. And it will be okay, and it is the numerical part is really important for this course, because apart from the coding, we also want you to know about various terms that are used and how they are mathematically related with each other, right? And for that, we definitely ask questions in those topics, around those concepts in the quiz and end term. So clearing your concepts on those is definitely something that will be helpful. And yeah, so I've definitely seen some of the queries on Discord also regarding these questions. So I hope after this session there will not be many doubts on this part. Okay. All right, so this will be the content of today's session. We will go through the numerical aspect of week 1. All right. Yeah, so there is one hand raised. Yeah, Abhishek, speak something.
Actually, when I was going through the lectures video, so there are many terminologies which were even not discussed in the lecture, and they were part of the activities questions.
Yeah.
So, and maybe like in future also, like this might happen. Or I'm not complaining about these things,
Yeah.
but I just have a request to support team. Like if these kind of things are there, either try to cover them in active live lectures, or provide us kind of material to study them.
Yeah, see one thing. So see, there are certain limitations to what we can add in the lectures, right? There are, as you may have also gone through various sources and may have seen that, okay, this is something that is not limited. Okay, there are so many concepts, so many things that cannot be clubbed into one pack of or set of lectures and then given to anyone else. Okay, so the reason you are finding these terms in activity and practice question is the reason is because we want you to go through these terms, okay, and try to cover up with those. Okay, the reason being because we cannot cover everything into the into the lectures or the content that is provided to you. Okay, if there is something that is left out, there are two ways to cover that. That is live session. So definitely we will be covering those concepts. Covering as in you have to bring it to us as a doubt. Okay, so we will be helping you with that. Okay, so these live sessions that we are taking are the complementary to the lectures that are being provided to you. Okay, so these are the pre-recorded lectures, right? So, but the live sessions are something that can be molded according to the questions and queries of students. Okay, so the first session that we have in every week, that is on Wednesday, will be the agenda of that session will be to cover up these doubts. Okay, and that does not mean that you can ask doubts only in that session. You can definitely extend those doubts to other sessions also. Okay, that is one thing. Secondly, the questions or the concepts that are coming in practice questions are something that we want you to figure out. Okay, just search through web, because if you do not have the, you do not get the habit of searching through web, you will, by end of the course, you will keep on complaining. I'm not saying that you're complaining now, but this will become the tendency, right? This is not there and that is not there. Okay, the one more reason for giving such concepts which are not covered in lectures is also to guide you. Okay, if something is not coming into the lectures, what to look at and how to look at on the web. Okay, now what there may be a doubt that, okay, what if I have not studied about something and that comes up in the exam. Okay, I can assure you that will not happen. Okay, so you will find jargons in activity questions and practice questions, but you will not find them all these problems or all these questions which are not given in the content in any of the graded questions. Okay, in any of the graded part of this course. Okay, so we also have this graded questions that we are providing you along with the practice and activity questions, right? So if you are acquainted with concepts of practice question from the live sessions, from the web outside, you will not face any problems in graded questions. Okay, if you practice this practice question, the reason we are calling it practice question is because this will allow you, or this will give you idea of what to study for the exam. Okay, so the concepts covered in practice and the content provided to you, your graded questions and any question in the quiz will not come out of that. We will make sure. Okay.
Okay, so fine.
Okay, now we are talking about the additional content, right? So some additional content can be provided. Okay, so that will be covered with the help of live sessions that we'll be going taking throughout the course. Okay, and others we are keeping or leaving those things in your hands. Okay, you try to find it on the web. I am sure you will get the lot of idea. Okay, you don't need to worry about, okay, this is the question, I found it on the web, I could solve it. Okay, what if something new comes up? That will not happen. Okay, we are expecting you to just go through the concepts that are there in the practice question in the like in the web, and then just make your own notes so that you have, okay, this is something that can come up. Okay, apart from that, if still you're not satisfied with the content that is there on the web, then you can come up with the same question in the live sessions. Okay, so in live sessions will, so this is week 1, right? So I will not say that, okay, you cannot ask a week 1 question in week 2 or week 3. That will not be the case, right? You can come up and definitely ask those questions, raise those queries anytime, right? uh, so this will be mostly done in the Wednesday session. In Saturday session, what will happen? We'll go into more of practical aspects, right? So this will be more of a you following the instructor, what the instructor is doing. In that case, we may not be able to have that one-to-one conversation in any in the topics that are other than what we are discussing. Okay, but then, okay, if we are done with the session, we are done with whatever we wanted to deliver on that particular session, and then we ask, okay, apart from this, if there are any doubts, you can definitely raise those issues. Okay, so I hope I'm pretty much clear in this the content that is there, right? So you're definitely it is understandable that you're finding so many other things outside. No issues with that. But the thing is, this is mainly the problem of first few weeks. Okay, and for few weeks, let's say 1 or 2 weeks. Apart from that, you will be very you'll go very parallel with the course. Okay, what the content that we give you will be sufficient enough. Okay, it's just that we are putting our first step in the web and development. That is the reason we are having these problems. But as we move along, all these words, all these jargons will have a proper sense to you. These will make sense to you. Okay, so don't worry about it.
Sir, actually, the issue is like these are the theoretical terminologies, right? These are the
Hmm.
jargon, and these are the very kind of, I can say, the fundamental things, right?
Yeah.
So, and even like if I watch like 20 minutes of lecture, and when I encounter like questions based on the particularly those topics which are not even covered over there, so
Yeah.
then that will be like kind of a demotivated for me. Like
No, no,
I
no. You don't take it as demotivating. You see, the thing is that these activity questions and practice. See, the very big misconception that I want to remove here is the activity questions and practice questions are not there to test what you learned from the content. Okay. See, if I'm watching a video and I'm saying, and somebody asks you that, okay, these are the questions that are from the video. You let me see, let me check how much you have learned. If that was the case, we would have given you proper resources. Okay, this is not the case. Okay, we give the video, you have to watch the video, and whatever content that could not be given in the form of video is given in the form of questions. Okay, so these are not testing your knowledge from what you learned from the videos. Okay, these are to give you additional knowledge. Okay, so let's say if there is something called as bandwidth. Bandwidth was never taken in the video. I'm just giving an example. Okay, but there is bandwidth in the term bandwidth appears in the question. So the very reason for that is you have to go through the web and find out what that bandwidth is and make a note of it. Okay, once that is done, this will happen in either activity or practice. Okay, once you're done with bandwidth, you will see questions on bandwidth in the graded part. Okay, and in any other graded exam, but you will not see any new term in those exams. Okay, it will be within whatever is covered in the lectures and whatever is given as a part of supplementary thing, right? The activity for you. The reason we're calling it activity is this is an activity for you to go through the content, go through the web, okay, and find out what is there. Okay, some are pretty simple, right? Some are like as it is, they are simply the questions framed from the slides, but some questions are something which you don't need to think of, you need to find out from the internet. Okay, and this is not something that there is a word given, you have to find it from the internet, but you need to study A to Z about that part. It is not like that. Okay, so the questions you feel that are coming out of the context of what was given in the video is not the case. Okay, this is what we give you as an activity on top of which you can build your concepts, or should be done on top of the video that is given. Okay, I'm sorry for the background noise. There is prayer going. Okay, yeah, so if there is any other doubt, you can raise your hand and say, talk about it. I'll just mute for a minute. Okay, so I'm back. Yeah, I'm sorry for that background there. Okay, yeah. So one more hand was raised, right? Abhishek Bose, right? Yeah, good.
Sir, can you please explain practice assignment question number question number 3, sir?
Okay, can you read out the practice assignment question number
Actually, it is asking like how many port numbers are available in total communication for total for communication between devices in TCP,
three? Okay.
and there are 4 options given. So, I mean, is there any way to determine this answer, or should we just memorize it and answer this question? I mean,
No, no. So see, there are certain methods for that, but you don't need to memorize anything. Okay.
okay.
These are some questions just for your information. Okay, these questions do not have anything to do with concepts really. Okay, these are just for your knowledge. Okay, so some questions of activity are also just given. So these might the questions of activity, some of the questions of activity are like very much related to information based. Okay, so in
Yes,
that case you don't have to worry about. Okay, if it is asking for any question that is more of information where you need to search in internet and find out, just
yes.
yeah, just go find the same question on the internet, get on with the answer and give it. You don't have to
One,
worry about it.
one more question related to it, sir. Like, so if I mean, can we expect this kind of question in our quiz? Because
No, 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 no.
okay,
You won't
okay,
expect. No,
okay,
no. Information-based question. That's what I was speaking right before.
yeah,
If the yeah, so we won't be expecting any information-based questions. Okay.
okay, okay, sir.
Like we won't be expecting students to know that okay, this is something that has to be learned or learned by heart. Any information that has to be by hearted will not be coming or will not be a part of quiz.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Yes. My
Hi, sir. Sir, my question is regarding the week one content.
week one content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I have observed the Web 2.0 over there, and
I'm sorry, Mike, I'm not able to hear you clearly.
sir, I have observed Web 2.0 in one of the content in week one,
Okay.
and I just googled it and I found that it can serve. I mean, with Web 2.0, there will be more websites can be hosted and more people can access the internet. But
Huh.
I still I feel that I didn't get it completely. I mean, what is the fundamental difference in web?
Basically, nothing. Basically, there is no fundamental difference. The thing is, we are calling it other version because there are certain advancements. Okay. I'm not really sure with what the exactly advancements are, but the thing is that as you mentioned, right, more people can visit the website at the same time. It's just simply improving the quality or improving the capability of servers. Right. So you're calling it
Okay.
2.0. The thing is, initially web was very limited, only to serve general static HTML pages. But now it's not only HTML pages. We can interact with the web. Okay, we can see so many dynamic pages on the web. So many animations are there, right? So the data
Yeah.
is unlimited now, and who can access it? Basically, everyone on the earth, right? So a web that was only capable of serving certain pages, limited to where the data was very limited. Now you can possibly search for anything. Okay, so this advancement was then termed as Web 2.0 because it was basically a step ahead of what actually the web was meant to be, right?
Okay.
Right, so that was the thing. You don't have to worry about so many differences. So this is again, I want to point out one more thing here. The questions given in practice and activity will give you will also give you certain limits as to where you have to stop. Okay, it's
Okay.
not like going through the web and keep going, because as I said, it is infinite. Number of pages you open, number of amount of information you will get. Okay, and yeah, so first week pretty tough to understand what is the limit, but as we move ahead, it will be fine. Okay, because we'll be using some things in the course and we will be leaving out some other things in the course. So you'll understand, okay, this is something that we have to leave. This is something you have to keep in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Pretty Jain.
Good afternoon, good evening, sir.
Your voice is very low.
Okay, sir, wait a minute. Hello.
It's still low. Sorry. Okay, so currently I see there are 3 hands raised. Okay, so I'll try to cover up these the queries of these 3 people. Then we'll go with the content of today's session. Okay, we'll try to finish it, and then at the last, if there is something left, we'll carry that, cover that. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, pretty. I can hear you, but it's very low. Can you? Is it possible if your question is of limited words? Can you post it in chat?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, it's still very low. Okay, so you can post your question on chat. Yeah. Meanwhile, Dhruv.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Is
good
my
evening.
voice audible?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, so sir, my main question was that like we saw during the screencast and during the slides that there was like difference HTTP 1, HTTP 1.1, and like so those different versions. So like, do we need to go deep into those protocols, or is it abstract level for us?
No, that is completely abstract. Don't need to go through these protocols into very much details.
Okay, sir.
See, the thing is, HTTP. There will be only 2 protocols that will be working with. That is HTTP, HTTPS. Okay, HTTPS will be again very superficial because this is something that we generally use. How did we come up with the web? How do we create website in the local development, in the local environment? That is where we talk about HTTP. So mostly we'll talk about HTTP and then finally have a secured layer on that top of that HTTP, which will be HTTPS. So you don't have to go into very much details of that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Rohit.
Good evening, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Sir, my question is regarding in the screencast, professor is using Ubuntu, but many of us don't have Ubuntu. Like I have Windows, and I'm finding it difficult to execute the Python server command. So, are we going to discuss this session today? Like as you said,
yeah. So as I said, we won't be discussing that. But the thing is, I want to make you assure that the sessions coming after this will be discussed on Windows. Okay, so you won't, and you moving forward, you will know the difference that in the Ubuntu and Windows that there is hardly any difference between the working of code. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, Satyam. Yeah, so probably this is the last doubt for currently I'm taking. Okay, then we'll move into the questions and then we'll get back to doubts. Okay. Yeah, Satyam, you wanted to ask something?
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, sir. Firstly, I wanted to ask that, sir, what is HTTP, or is it a particular type of internet protocol? And if you can please explain and if it will be good. And secondly, sir, what is curl? Because in the lecture, the codes that were used were in Linux interface, and we are currently using Windows. So what to do about that?
Okay, fine. See, first of all, HTTP, as I said, is a hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, this is just the full form. Now, what is this HTTP? This is the protocol on which the web works. Okay. Now, based on this protocol, we will define where we are working. Okay, so we are working whether this website you are creating is for the others or it is in the development mode. Okay. For example, if you are a developer of a web application, okay, so initially while it is developing, you need to know that everything is working fine. In the developmental stage, there are some features, functionalities that you'll be adding, right? that in that case, you don't want this website to be accessible to others. Okay. So in that case, that scenario, we call it as a local development or local development environment. Okay. So that is important for us. What is happening from HTTP is not important. Okay. It is just the protocol that the internet is following for us to serve pages. That is enough definition. Okay. When we move ahead, when we move ahead, we'll come to know, okay, this is some protocol that we are using. The main thing that we need to focus on is what comes after HTTP. Okay, the IP address, okay, the port number, the path, the queries or the query statement, okay, variables. All these are the part of URL, right? You might see certain things on the URL, right? Which start with HTTPS : and then something. Okay, so whatever follows HTTPS or HTTP is something that we have to look at. Okay, and it will be very clear when we will be moving ahead with the course. Okay, for now you need to just focus, know that HTTP is a protocol on which the internet works. Okay, why do we need a protocol? So that if the request that you are doing with the server should understand, okay, this is the request and this is how I have to respond, right? So it is like a rule which both the client as well as the server follows, so that there is proper communication and proper sending and receiving of the request and response. Okay, it is just like the rules which are defined by the internet for the internet to work properly. That's it. Okay. Satyam.
Okay,
Fine.
sir.
Okay. So your second question is curl. Okay. Now what curl is? Curl is a command for running these URLs in the terminal. Okay. See, you want to run www.google.com. Where will you put it? In the URL tab of the browser. Okay.
Yes,
all right. But that is something which is the front end part. What if you wanted to do that on the command line? Okay. Now that command line can be anything. It can be Windows, it can be Linux, it can be Ubuntu, it can be Mac. Okay. That command line can be anything. Interface can be anything. That command line interface, what we call it, the black screen or the blue screen, PowerShell. Okay. Now how to get the response of particular URL on that command line with the help of this curl. Okay. So yeah, so we will go ahead with curl. How does it respond? What are the other parameters that can be given with the curl is something we will look at in the coming weeks.
Yes, sir. So it is basically a command line tool.
Sorry?
So sir,
Basically?
we can a command line tool, like
Yeah,
command prompt for Windows.
No, it's not command prompt. It is just command prompt. It is a command on the command prompt. Okay, you open the command prompt on Windows. Okay, for example, you want to run a Python file. Are you acquainted with Python? Have you worked with Python before?
Yes, sir.
All right. So how do you run Python file in the command line interface?
I was using Replit.
Okay. Fine. All right. So all right. So, but are you aware of command line interface?
Yes, sir.
I think he knows the terminal, right?
Yeah.
Terminal in Linux.
The terminal, CM command prompt, PowerShell, Linux.
Yes, sir. That I know.
So you know that it works with certain commands, right?
Yes, sir.
So curl is one of the command. Okay. What is the one of the commands that is used to get the response of particular URL from the terminal? Okay. Because why do we have curl? Because initially we did not have browsers. Okay, browsers are more of a modern concept. Okay, so now we are in the era where we open the browser. We simply open Chrome or Brave or whatever it is. Okay, put in the URL and get the data in a very nicely formatted thing. Okay, but that is not what initial or the developers from some decades back did. What they did was if they wanted some response from the server, they used to, but that response will be given with the help of that request to that response or to the server was given with the help of URL. Now, how will the terminal know that you are putting in a URL, right? So for the terminal to know that you have to connect to server and then get some resource from this particular URL, you have to give this command. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. When we will be at a stage where we developed a very simple application, okay, in that case, I'll show you how to use this command.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so there is one response given to that by Devi ma'am, right? It is a terminal-based command line tool for transferring data request to and from a server, URL-based access. Okay, so you give this command, put the URL, and get the data. Okay, what is something that you understand? Put the URL in the browser and get the data. Okay, that is the only difference. Okay.
Sir.
Yeah, so we'll be more clear with this. Don't worry. Yeah, pretty. Let's see if you're audible now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're okay. Considerably audible. Can you say?
Sir, can you explain the question number 2 of practice assignment? I don't know how to calculate that, and I don't know how answer 10 is there.
Okay. Okay. Can you read out the question for me?
Yes, sir.
Is it, by the way, is it a numerical?
Yes, sir. It's a numerical.
Okay, fine. Then okay, let's wait. I'll be, taking the numericals part only in this section. All right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
I want to know another question also.
Okay.
So, question number 10th. Which is the valid IPv4 address?
Okay, we'll come to IPv4 and IPv6 in a while. Okay. Don't worry about
Okay,
that.
sir.
Okay, so I guess for now we can consider that there are no more doubts for now. All right. So we will go with the session as it was planned. Okay. Now some instructions that I want to give for the session. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen. Okay. I'll have certain questions in front of you. Okay. Those questions you will have to solve initially based on what you understood from the content. Okay. It is completely okay if you are not able to solve. This is not a test. Okay, I'll give some time. In that time, you will have to respond with the answer of that. Now, how do you respond? You have to, if you see in the bottom right corner of your screen, you will see that there is a space where you can message. Okay, in that, the two, right? The recipient is everyone currently. So what you need to do is you have to change it to Adarsh. Okay, since my name is Adarsh, I want those responses to come to me. Okay, you have to change those that to everyone, right? So you have to just drop it down and change it to others and write your response. Okay, it will be a number, right? Because you're talking about numericals. So you just have to write your response and whatever we yeah, so the way Ajit Kumar has done. Okay, so he has sent me a direct message. So that is called as direct message. Okay, so what you have to do is the response to that you have to send to me as a direct message. Okay, doesn't matter if you do not know the answer. We will be solving it once I'm done with certain number of responses. Okay, so this is how we are going to go about the entire session. We'll have 5 to 6 questions. There will be 4 to 5 questions numerical based, which will be starting from basic and will build up to the question that you are seeing in the practice part. Okay. All right. So should I start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. One more thing, some of you might find these questions very easy. Okay, because some of you are like from the computer science background, or even if you're not and you understand the logic, you might find these questions very easy, but some are finding it difficult. Okay, so you have to take everyone, the entire crowd of mad one together and put it on the same page. Okay, so if you know the answer, you can simply direct message to me. Okay, and then well and good. Okay, those who do not know, want to think on it, will take time and then respond. Okay, and you don't have to worry. I'm not going to display name that this is the wrong answer and this person has given a wrong answer. I'm not going to do that. Okay, what I would do is I'll take, if a response is wrong, I'll take that response and will try to find out what was the reason for that. Okay, because we want the concepts to be clear, and the questions that would come in quiz and end term will be a build up on these. Okay, so unless you understand the basics, you won't be able to solve the questions that come there. Okay, all right. So without wasting much time and talking a lot, I'll just share my screen. Just a moment. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible here.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay, yeah. So the by the way, the question is visible. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
so we'll start off with a very simple one. All right, and then you can solve it and give your answer in my direct chat. Okay, so we'll wait for let's say 2 minutes. Okay, so I've started getting responses. Yeah, so we'll wait for some time. Okay, let us have some number of responses, then we'll come up with the solution. Okay, so shall I start off with the solution? I've got a number of responses. Okay, okay, fine. All right, one is one very particular, which is probably the right answer, right? Okay, but I've seen, I'm also seeing some other responses. Let's try to find out the reason why we are getting to that. Okay, so we will go with the solution. Okay, so see, sorry. Okay, so the question is, suppose a client machine C is communicating with the data center D located at 7,500 kilometers away from C, right? How long will it take for the request made by the client to reach the data center D? Okay, now the thing is, looks pretty straightforward, right? So there is one client machine which is called as C, and then there is one data center which is called as D, and we have been given with the distance between the two, that is 7,500 kilometers. See, the units play a very important role everywhere. Okay, so we'll keep special attention on the units. Okay, and okay, so the thing is, we need to find out how long will it take for the request made by the client to reach to the data center. So we're talking about requests, right? So clients make requests to the data centers or servers. Here, the data center is equivalent to a server, okay? And then the data center or server sends back the response to the client. Okay, what is asked in the question? How long will it take for the request made by the client to reach to the data center? That is only the one way, right? The time taken from the for the request to go from C to, that is only the question. Okay, now two things that we need to understand here is, one is if there is no medium given, okay, because medium, with the term medium, what I mean is, how is the request or the response propagating between C and D? Okay, if there is no medium given, we have to take air as the medium. Okay, if the medium is given, we have to make sure that we are taking proper medium. And why is that important? Because the speed of light differs with the medium. Okay, and second thing that I want to know is, why do we need speed of light? What does the request have to do with speed of light? It is assumed that all the electromagnetic waves travel with speed of light. Okay, so the information traveling in air are electromagnetic waves, and they will travel with speed of light. This is what we need to understand. Okay, so I can see messages. Are they okay? Some corrections. Okay, fine. So right, so this is very straightforward. Nothing is given, no information about the medium is given. That means we need to understand that the medium is air. Okay, that is something that I wanted to tell you from this question. Now this entire information comes down to one formula, that is distance is equal to speed into time, right? Distance equals to speed into time. We have been given with the distance, we know the speed because we know the medium, we just need to find the time. Okay, so I'll write it here, time equals to distance upon speed. Okay, now the time unit of time is not mentioned, right? So you could have answered in seconds, milliseconds. Okay, we should not go in microseconds now, right? But generally we will use milliseconds. Okay, the reason for that I'll let you know in just a minute. Okay, so now we are here, we know the distance, right? So let us but the distance given here is in kilometers, right? 7,500 kilometers, and we know the speed of light is, now what is this 2e8? Okay, so you need to understand this. 2e8 is equivalent to, or it is 100% equals to 2 into 10 to the power 8. This is how you interpret this. Okay, so 2e8 is 2 into 10 raised to power 8. Okay, but this is meter per second, right? Meter per second, and this is kilometer. So either you convert this into kilometers per second, or you convert these into kilometers, right? So it is better to convert. It's not, you can do anything, but what I'm doing is I'm converting this kilometers to meters, right? Obviously we know the relation, 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, right? So I've multiplied these kilometer into 10 with 10 to the power 3 just to make sure that it is meters. Okay, now one thing that I want to emphasize is units. Every time if you work with units, you will definitely come up with the proper answer. Okay, and there will not be any issue with the decimal points and how you represent. Okay, the switching of point here and there, because I've seen some of those in your responses. Okay, so now we know that this distance is given in meters and the speed of light is given in meters per second, right? So it is meters by second. So this meters, this second can go up, right? And we can cut this meter by meter. All right. So whatever answer that we will be getting here will be in seconds. Okay. And you have to modify that time with whatever has been asked in the question. Okay. Here specifically, I have not specified any unit because I wanted to I wanted you to get the answer from. Just give me a minute. All right. Yeah. So what we want is we want the answer to just to get the number with. Okay. The unit we can decide later. And as I said, generally we talk about time. Whenever we talk about time in this scenario, we'll talk in meters per millisecond rather than seconds. Okay. So if we try to solve this, what do we get? I'm using calculator. Okay. You'll be having virtual calculator in your exam wherever you give the exam. So it will be pretty much possible. So you don't need to worry about the calculations. I'm just using calculator. Okay, so the answer that you get is 0.0375. Okay, 0.0375. Okay, many of you have given this answer, right? And those who have given this answer, make sure you mention the unit. Okay. So the answer that we are getting is in seconds. Okay. Now, if I want to convert this answer into milliseconds, so we'll use one relation, right? 1 second equals to 1000 milliseconds. Okay. So with that, we'll get to, so to convert the seconds into millisecond, we'll simply need to multiply it with 1000, right? And when we do that, we shift the decimal point 3 places ahead. So the answer would be 37.5 millisecond. Okay. Now I said that mostly we represent these answers in milliseconds. The reason being, you see this, right? 0.0375 seconds doesn't look right, nice, right? Even in when you put the answers, let's say you have a lot of data which has all the times, okay, between these various distances and all, and you have the time, and you see that there are so many zeros between the decimal points, and the value that makes sense is 375, which comes after a number of zeros. Okay, so it doesn't make sense in seconds because now the practical reason why, because the distance that will be that the servers and clients will be communicating will be in several hundreds or several thousands kilometers. But if you notice the speed of light, okay, notice the speed of light, it will be of the order 2 into 10 raised to power 8, right? 2 into 10 raised to power 8. So it is very large as compared to what distance we are traveling. Okay. Now if I'm reading this, assume the speed of light in cable is 2 into 10 raised to power 8, right? And I have not mentioned cable, so don't worry about this cable. Okay. I have said that I have not mentioned any medium, right? And I'm taking air as medium. Okay. So the data changes, but I'm still keeping this light, the speed of light same. Okay, but if the medium is given, the speed of light in cable is, we have to take when it is cable. But I'm saying that, okay, just consider this speed to be the speed of air. I guess nobody noticed that. I'm just noticing it now. Okay, I'll remove that confusion. Okay, but the answer is 37.5 milliseconds. Okay, so as I was explaining the practical significance, the distance will be in several hundred kilometers, but the speed will be in lakhs, or if you see the order, it's 2 into 10 raised to power 8 meters per second. So it will be like, within a second, if you see, right? In the duration of when you even just close your eyes and open it, right? So in that case, calculating those time in seconds will not make any sense, because that will not give you any physical significance. Calculating the time in milliseconds will give you a proper data, okay, which is understandable, comprehensible. Okay, that's why we'll generally find it in these scenarios, we'll generally find the time in milliseconds. Okay, now, so this is the answer, right? But just wanted to check on some of the other responses. Okay, so the other responses are 0.025 seconds. So this is 25 milliseconds, right? Okay, so I hope there is some problem with certain manipulations, all right? But the answer should be 25 milliseconds or 0.02. Sorry, the answer should not be 25 millisecond. It should be 37.5 milliseconds. Okay. And it is very important. See, some of you have written 1.25, 37.5. What? 37.5 seconds, 37.5 milliseconds. It is very important to give the unit along with whatever answer you are giving. Okay. Because you might find these questions coming as numerical answer type, right? Where you'll have to put in the values along with seconds, or you'll have to manipulate your values along with respect to what we are asking. Okay. In that case, you cannot simply put the value. Okay. So you need to also take care about the units. Okay. Now, one answer in particular I saw is 0.0000375. Okay. So definitely a problem with manipulation. Okay. So maybe the reason being you have not converted this kilometers to meters. Okay. So you take care of that. So the units should remain same. Okay. I've also seen one answer as 75. Is it the 2 times of 37.5? Yes, right. So I guess you have also calculated the response from the data center to client, right? So you don't you have to see, even if you know some more information, it is also sometimes hazardous because that is not asked in the question, right? Okay, I also see 18.75. I guess it is divided by 2 of 37.5. Okay, so you are getting these answers which are closer to the real answer only because of some manipulations here and there. The factor of 2, right? Divided by 2, multiplied by 2. So you don't need to, you have to go step by step. Okay, and then later on you can come up with the right answer. Okay, so I hope you are liking this activity. Okay. All right, so I'll move ahead with the next question, which is pretty much similar, but now it will give you the difference between the two actual questions. Okay.
So one second.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you said the medium is air and the given speed of light in cable is 2 into 10 raised to 8. So like, yeah, what should be the actual, in air it will be 3 into 10 raised to 8.
Correct. So in air it will be 3 into 10 raised to power 8. Okay, but I don't want this numbers to confuse you. That's why I thought I said.
So we can take whatever is given as a clue, that speed of light, whatever is given, we can take, right?
Yeah, exactly. So whatever is given, meaning if air is there, okay, if I did not mention any what we say the medium, you have to take the speed of light in air, which will be given.
Okay, so whatever is given, medium, give that. Otherwise,
that you have to take. Please do not presume anything. Okay, do not assume, okay, the speed in air is generally 3, so I'll take 3. No, in this case, it would have been wrong. Okay, so it was a mistake from my side because I have given the speed of light in cable, but this was I observed this after all of you responded, right? So I just left the value to be 2 into 10 raised to power 8, but in air it is 3 into 10 raised to power 8. So I don't want your values to change. That's why let it
so
be.
Suppose if there is no medium is given and the speed of light in cable is given, like what will be the process?
That will not happen. This question is
okay. Thank you.
That will not happen. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said, right? This is my mistake from my side.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
So that will not happen. Okay. So shall we move to the next question? Okay. I'm assuming yes. All right. Okay. So if you see here, it will be just a build up on what we have seen in the previous question. Okay. So yeah, now this question also has the statement, right? So I'll just correct it. So suppose the client machine is communicating with data center located at D, away 15,000 kilometers away from C. How long will it take for the response to reach to the client C? Assume the speed of light. Assume the speed of light in air is 3e8 meter per second, right? So you need to solve with respect to this. Okay, so the same procedure will follow. Solve it and then you can give me a diagnosis. You'll wait for 2 to 3 minutes because this is just a build up, right? So it won't take much time. Yeah, so also note that you don't have to take the data from previous question. The data has been changed. Okay. Okay, so I see there are responses, but I see that there is a competition between two values. And I also see that some are giving answers to everyone. Okay, please do a direct message. Yeah, okay, so I think I've got enough responses, and and these responses have been varying with there is a competition between only two values, right? And I am sure there is a slight confusion. I'll clear that. Okay, yeah. So just wanted to clear one doubt. Okay, so the speed of light in air is not 3 into 10 raised to power 8. Okay, the speed of light in air is less than 3 into 10 raised to power 8 because the speed of light in vacuum is 3 into 10 raised to power 8. But for our calculation, we will consider what is given. Okay. Uh, Otherwise, it will be something 2.9999, something like that, because we don't want to complicate our calculations. And in any way, if we round figure, it will not make any difference. Okay. So, yeah, exactly. Somebody has given the actual, right. So, does it really matter? This is my question. Okay. So the things are happening in split second, right? It will matter on large scale, but not in this scale, right? So we will consider the speed of light in air to be 3 into 10 raised to power 8. Okay. If you have any confusion, okay, in during exam you're solving this question, if you have any confusion what to take, just go with the data given. Okay. Just go with the data given. You don't have to worry about the actual values. All right. Now, one question from my side. I said, suppose, the scenario is given what is happening. The question is, how long will it take for the response to reach the client C? Okay. So if this is the question, what do you think? Are we talking about one-way communication or two-way communication? Okay. So this is something you can unmute or give in the chat to everyone. You don't have to give a direct message.
One way.
Okay. Right. So the response to reach to client. Okay. The problem here is we talk about response to be sent from server to client. Okay, what is the, in which case will we talk about, we will talk about response being sent from server to client whenever there is a request. Okay, you understood, right? The question is, how long will it take for the response to reach to the client C, right? But when will there be a response? When there will be a request, then only there can be a response, right? Now we are talking about response to reach to the client C. This means the client C must have made a request, which may have gone to the data center, okay, and then that response to that request may have come to the client C. Therefore, we're talking about two-way communication here, right? Not one way. Okay, so those who have considered one-way communication and given 50 milliseconds as answer, okay, you have to multiply it by 2. Okay, so there were the responses that I got had only 2 answers, 50 milliseconds and 100 milliseconds. Okay, and some gave 0.1 second, which is also right. All right, so the thing is, you have to consider that the request has been made from the client C, on which the response has to be sent from the D to C. Okay, so this is a two-way communication. All right. Okay, so we'll just try to solve this just for the sake of so that we have proper values and all. I hope you understand this thing, that the response will only be there for the request. Okay, and yeah, so do not do not consider it, okay, this is okay, my answer got wrong because of this minute thing. So this question was given just to make you understand, okay, you have to consider these things. Okay, the question that we will be given will be based on these smaller concepts, and that will make it tricky. Otherwise, it is only simple calculation, I guess, right? One step in calculator. Okay, that is not what we are checking, right? We're checking how much you understand. Okay, so the same thing. There is a client and there is a data center. Okay, so we are talking about how long will it take for the response to reach to the client. Understood? I understand. Okay, the response is reaching from data center to client, but for the response to get generated, a request must have been sent, right? So therefore, we are talking it to be two-way communication. Two-way, right? Request and response cycle. Okay, what do we call to this request and response cycle? The time taken for the request to go to a server and the response to come from server back to client. It is called as round trip time. Okay, RTT. Round trip, right? One trip is being taken by the data. Okay, rest is simply the calculation. What we'll do is we'll find the time taken for one-way communication and we'll multiply it by 2. Okay. Now, to find the time taken for one-way communication is nothing but the previous question. Okay, we'll just have the change of values. Okay, just got one chat. Is RTT same as ping? I am not sure what ping is. Okay, so I won't be able to answer this question. Okay, so we'll just solve the time one way, right? One way. It will be the distance, 15,000 kilometers, and this time I'm just putting 3 zeros ahead. Okay, to convert it into meters, and we have corrected our speed in air, that is 3 into 10 raised to power 8. Okay, how much do we get this? I guess 50 milliseconds, right? Because so many answers was one way, so it was 50 milliseconds. So it was 50 milliseconds. Okay, now one-way communication is 50 milliseconds, and the time taken by the response to cover the same distance with same speed of light will be another 50 seconds. So it will be, the total time taken will be 100 milliseconds. Now there can be one question here or one query here. Is there no time taken to process the data? Okay, I'm receiving a request and all of a sudden I'm sending the response. How is that possible? How will there be no processing time? There will be. Okay, definitely. But we have not mentioned that specifically, right? So you don't have to consider that. If it is given, then you will have to consider that. Okay, it will be specifically explicitly given in the question. This is the processing time. We cannot give each and every term, like this much time went on reading the data, this much time went on converting it, this much time went on retrieving the data from data center, converting it into proper form that can be sent. So all these individual functionalities and the time taken for that, definitely we don't want to create that mess. We will give the processing time at the data center is this much. Okay, that you'll simply need to add, because that will add up with the delay. Okay, but if it is not given, just add 0. Okay, so the time will be 100 milliseconds. Now I've seen some of the answers as 5 seconds, 1 second. Okay, this is simply, I'm sure this is simply the conversion issue. Okay, so I guess you get the answer like this, 0.05. Okay, you don't have to simply remove the decimal point. You have to shift it 3 places, right? So if you're coming to 5 and you're not finding one more place here, you have to add 1 0 and put the decimal point. Okay, so that will not be 5, that will be 1. Same case would have happened with this 100. Okay, so that got converted to 1. Okay, so you just need to take care of the units that you're putting. Okay, are the units proper and the conversion is proper. That's it. Okay, the mathematics will not be that tough. Okay, is this question clear? Okay, let me, yeah, so yeah, so whenever the response time is asked, we are supposed to calculate the round trip time. Yes, every time. Okay, so you'll have to calculate the round trip time. If we want you to calculate only the time taken for the data to go from a server to the client, we will explicitly mention it. Okay. Okay, so we will try to keep least or no confusions in the question when we are building multiple stage questions. Okay, so you don't worry about that. If there is any ambiguity, we'll try to clear it. Okay, so ping in TCP layer, RTT in application layer, so additional processing delay. Ping. Okay, group, maybe I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, so I'll move to next question, right? So again, the next question that we'll have will be a build up on this question. Okay, so I'll move to the next question. I hope, I mean, I guess this is the question of practice given in the practice. Okay, so those who had this question as a doubt, I think this will be, you'll have a better understanding of it. You will be in a better position to solve. Okay, so one more thing, right? So if there is no medium given here, but assume the speed of light in cable is 2 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. This is given, right? Explicitly given. So take whatever is given. Okay, do not. We understand. Okay, we know that. Okay, speed of light is this, but speed of light in cable is 2 into 10 raised to power 8 given. This means the medium we are taking is cable. Okay, so you have to go with whatever is given. Okay, I hope I'm not confusing you. See, if had this been not given, or it would have been given like assume speed of light and air is 3 into 10 to the power 8, assume the medium is air. Okay, but assume the speed of light in cable is this, you have to understand this, we are using cable as a medium. Okay, so yeah, so I started getting the responses. I thought there are some doubts. Okay, I started getting responses. Let's see. Okay, I started getting responses. Again, there is a competition between two values. That's it. Okay, I've got 10 to 12 responses competing with two values. Let's see. Okay, I'll go with the solution, right? Okay. Yeah, we'll also discuss the values which are not in this. Okay, so meanwhile, those who are solving can definitely like find the answer and give it on the chat. Meanwhile, I'll try to solve this question. Okay. All right. So suppose a client machine C is communicating with the data center D located 12,000 kilometers away from C. Okay, very familiar statement, right? Assume that the TCP, now this is something different. Assume that the TCP connection has been established and is kept alive. Okay. If each new request can be sent only after receiving an acknowledgement from D for the previous request, then what is the maximum number of requests that can be sent from C to D in 1 second? Okay. So the first statement that is given here is pretty much understandable, and we have solved questions on this. Okay, this just gives an idea of distance between the client and the data center, which is 12,000 kilometers. Okay, now what happens is, suppose if if I create a request, I'm the client, right? I'm located here. If I make a request, and I am making a request to this data center D, right? If this is happening, what will happen? A single connection will be established. Okay, that's why this connection is called as TCP connection. Okay, and once the request is sent from client to D, the processing is done, and the response is sent from D to C. Okay, once one RTT is done, okay, I asked for some information to the server, I got the response. Once that is done, this connection gets closed. Okay, so this connection is established only for one RTT, or getting one request response cycle, for only one request response cycle. Okay, if I make the same request again, what will happen? This connection will again be established. Okay, so what does this statement say? Assume that, you have to assume that the TCP connection is established, okay, and is kept alive. What does that mean? It is kept alive even if I got the response. Okay, why are we doing this? Because we are sending multiple requests one after the other. Okay, is someone speaking? Is someone speaking here apart from me? No, right? Okay, so you understand this term, right? So what we are doing, we are keeping this establishment of the connection alive so that we send multiple requests in the same connection. Okay, and what we are doing, we are so we sent one request and we got the response for that request. This is one. We sent another request and we got the response for same. This is the other one. And we sent third, and so on we are doing, and this is happening in the same connection. Okay. Now what we are doing, and what it says, if each new request can be sent only after receiving an acknowledgement from D for the previous request. What does this mean? I have aligned certain number of requests, but this second request will initiate only after getting the response from the first request. Okay, so it is like I go with this path. I made a request, I got the response, and then I can initiate with the second request and get the response. And henceforth, I'll start the third request only get after getting the response from the second request. This is what it means. Okay. Now, if I follow this, what will be the maximum number of requests that can be sent from C to D in 1 second? That is what we need to find out. Maximum number of requests. Okay, if we have to follow this pattern. No, okay.
Sir,
yeah.
Basically, RTT is basically what? It is basically the time required for one TCP connection.
It is time required for one request to get to be sent from the client to the server, and the response back to the client from the server.
So that means one TCP connection, right?
Yeah, but see, you cannot guarantee that it will be greater. The TCP connection time will be greater than equals to RTT. Okay, so this is happening here, right? We are maintaining the TCP connection, which is greater than RTT.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Right. So in the minimum case, it will be equal to RTT.
Yeah.
Okay, we generally don't talk about the time for which the connection is established. We talk about RTT. Okay, now why are we talking about TCP connection then? Because we are making sure, see, we are making sure in the same connection it will happen. Okay, what is the alternative? What would have happened if this is not maintained? All the requests would have gone from at the same point, right? In that case, we will not be able to find out number of requests done in 1 second. Understood? If all the requests are going at the same point or after a certain delay, okay, we won't be able to explicitly calculate the number of requests that can be sent. We are what we say, we are interested in this nature of request and response cycle. What nature? The response coming from one cycle and then the request is being sent from the second cycle. This is the sequence that we want to establish. That is the reason we are doing the same thing in one TCP connection. Okay. Understood, right? What I try to say here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are maintaining one TCP connection so that we send multiple requests one after the other. Okay, this is the whole point. Okay, now if this is done, what I'll do is I'll remove this part, because I guess I've explained the question well. Now we'll go with the calculation. Okay, so now when we talk about the calculation part, this is simple, right? We mostly know the more than half part of the calculation. What is that? We have to find TRTT, the round trip time. Okay, initially what we were doing, we are finding the one connection and then multiplying the entire time with 2. Here what we will do, will simply initially only will multiply by 2. Okay, so it will be 2 into 12,000 kilometers. Okay, so the kilometers converted to meters, and we are taking the time as 2 into 10 raised to power 8. Right? Yeah, any mistake I'm doing? No, right? I've taken the values correctly. 12,000 kilometers and speed of light in cable. Yeah. So one thing very important, I've said that assume speed of light in cable is, this is given, right? So we have to go with this. Okay, so I've taken 2 into 10 raised to power 8. Let's see how much we'll get. Is it 120 millisecond? I'm just guessing here. Yeah, it's 120 millisecond, right? So what does this mean? For one RTT, from the request from here to here and response from here to here, it takes 120 milliseconds. Okay, now we need to find then what is the maximum number of requests that can be sent from C to D in 1 second. What we need to do? Number of requests will be 1 second divided by time for each request, right? So that is 120 millisecond. Any doubt here? What I did here? Right? We know the unit time for each request, and we need to find out the number of requests. Those many requests can be sent in 1 second. So I just divided the time with the time. Okay. So the number generally doesn't have a unit. That's why this second divided by millisecond will be unitless number. It will not be 1 by milli. Okay. So it is second. So we have 1000 milliseconds. I'm just making the unit same, right? 1000 millisecond divided by 120 millisecond. So you got milliseconds cut. 100 by 12. It is okay. It's 8.33. 8.33. So these many requests can be sent. Now the problem is, how can a number, an integer number, a whole number be 8.33, right? Numbers of requests that can be sent, it cannot be in the decimal, right? So either it can be 8 or it can be 9, right? And these were the numbers that were competing in the chat. Okay, some were responding to be 8 and some were responding with 9. Okay, now what I can say is I have done 8 complete requests, 8 complete requests and 1 incomplete request, right? There are 8 complete requests because yeah, 0.33, right? 0.33 request is done. So 0.33 is not a complete request, right? It is an incomplete request. Any incomplete request, I can physically think of it is like that. A client is making a request to the server, but it never reaches the server, or server gets failed, or by some reason this connection gets failed. Okay, so in that case, the server will never respond with the right response, right? It will never respond with the data, proper data. So in that case, in incomplete request, we cannot consider to be a request, right? So we will consider only the completely done requests. Okay, in that case, the answer will be 8. Okay, it is not simply mathematics that we round off and put it as 9, or we ground it and put it as 8. We need to understand the physical meaning, right? 8.33 request means we need to know that there are 8 complete requests, and then anything about that is not being done. It will take more than 1 second. Okay, we are talking about specifically 1 second. Okay, so in that case, that request remains incomplete, or would have got completed in the next second. Okay, so in 1 second, how many complete requests can be done? Only 8, not 9. I hope this confusion is clear, right? So those who have given 9 as answer, okay, some have given 17 also. This may be because of this 1200, right? So this 1200 into 2, you may have got it 60 second, and dividing 1 by 60 millisecond would be double of 8. So 16 point something would be 17, right? So yeah, this is some change of fractional, right? 2 here and there. Some has given 5 answers. So 5 is not a wrong answer. You can complete 5 requests, but we want to find out maximum number of requests, right? So in that case, it will be 8. Okay. Yeah. So there is one answer with 10 requests per second. Okay. So this is I'm not sure how it came to be 10. That is okay. Okay. One has given an answer as 120 milliseconds. So probably you have stopped here, right? 120 milliseconds. You need to also calculate number of requests. Okay. So one step ahead. Okay. So I hope this question is clear, right? And this is one of the questions in practice also. So those who had this doubt, is this clear or anything to be explained from this part? Just let me know. If I don't remember, sorry, if I remember correctly, somebody raised the hand for the same question, right? And I asked it was whether it was numerical or not. Okay, so I hope this part is clear now.
Yes, sir. I raised hand.
Yes. Yeah, I was unable to hear, right? Okay, fine. So I hope it is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you might find these type of questions in the practice section, right? You might find these questions, these type of questions or concept will be definitely used in the quiz. Okay, so just practice this question. Okay, any other doubt in this question? Okay, I guess there are no doubt because this is simple calculation and we have been moving step by step, right? So we will move to the next question. Yeah, so again, this question must be familiar to you because you may have seen this question, right? So what should be the minimum bandwidth of a data center that can handle 6 to 5 requests per second of 200 kilobytes each? Okay, so this is more of handling data. All right. Yeah, you can start responding. Okay, I'll wait for a minute.
Sir?
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So, like for such questions, if we see in real life, then the data center receives the request and responds with like the content, web content. So, like we have per request, we have to consider the size of both things, right? The request as well as the response.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. But the thing is, we are not talking about the exact content, right? We are just talking about the request being sent, received. Okay. So we are talking about, let's say, packet of data being transferred from one place to another and coming back from that place to this place, right? So packet of data doesn't matter how big it is.
Okay, so means per connection total 200 kilobytes of data.
No, so are you? So what are you talking? What question are you referring to?
Like,
the previous one?
Like no, for this question. See,
Okay,
like
okay.
for example, in real life, if I am connected to a website and I am sending a request, and that request, like it may be for uploading something or changing my profile picture or something like that. So like I'm sending some packets like that, maybe a few MB or few KB, something like that.
Okay.
And like the website then sends me back the updated web page, like your profile picture has been updated. So that my like that web page also will be of some size, few MB or something like that. So like so here like we are seeing that 200 kilobytes each. So like this will normally be like the number of requests it can handle, that will see both the incoming as well as outgoing data, correct?
Yeah, but the thing is, you will have to consider only one at a time. Why? Because see, we are talking about data center that can handle 6250 requests per second of 2 kilobytes each. So we are giving a reference of if you want to send a request or if you want to receive data from the data center. See, I'm using or. Okay, either you want to send a request from client to server, or the server responding with a particular data from itself to the client. In either of the one, in either of the one, the size of the data packet that is sent is 200 kilobytes.
Okay.
That's it.
So no, I understood it in the context of this question. What I'm talking about is that in real life, when we are seeing that the server has to handle bandwidth for both incoming as well as outgoing data, correct?
Yeah, correct. See, in real life, it is not only your data that is being sent. Your machine is continuously connecting with some or the other server, sending some data, receiving some data. Okay, so your bandwidth will be affected with all of those things.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
every
Thank you.
time it will
Yeah.
depend on the size of request or the
Okay.
response. Okay, but we are considering of one thread. See, there can be multiple threads that are happening on the system. Okay, where it is sending multiple requests to multiple servers. Okay, we don't want to complicate that much because we want to get the idea of what happens with one request. Okay, or with one thread. Then we can move on to or build up on the parallel things. But what we want is to get the idea of one thing. What happens with the one thread? Now, in this thread, what is happening? 200 kilobytes, 200 kilobyte data or such requests are being sent. Okay, and we are assuming that entire bandwidth is getting used to process these 200 kilobytes data.
Okay,
In
sir.
real life, this does
Yeah.
not happen, right?
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Yeah. So okay, and yes, I've got answers, right? Started getting answers.
What is bandwidth?
Yeah, so I'll come to that, right? So I'll explain with this question only. I would explain what is this bandwidth.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so there was a question with from Sashi, right? If the question is about requests passing through multiple data centers, then it will be addition of each individual response times. Can you elaborate? I did not get the question. If the question is about request passing through multiple data centers, then it will be addition of each individual response time. Yeah, correct. So you're saying that if from A to B and then B to C, right? Yeah, so you find from A to B, you find from C to B, and then add them. Obviously, here we are neglecting the processing time between the centers. Okay, so we are definitely neglecting any processing time at any node. Okay, so I started getting answers, and this time these answers are like variations, right? This is not one or two, this is spectrum of answers. Okay, so I see one of the answers being 1.25 GB, 12.5 GB, 1.2 terabytes, 10 GB. Okay, so there are so many answers. Okay, so I'll start with the definition, or not the definition, I'll go with the explanation of what is bandwidth and then the minimum bandwidth. Okay, so the bandwidth is the amount of data a network can handle per second. Okay, amount of data network can handle per second. Okay, for example, if you are using Wi-Fi, okay, it will give you the bandwidth of the Wi-Fi. For example, it gives 10 gigabits per second. Okay, 10 gigabits per second is the bandwidth of this Wi-Fi. What does that mean? You can receive or send 10 gigabits of data per second. That is the idea. That is the bandwidth. Okay, so it is data per second, right? Data per second. So every time the unit that is associated with bandwidth will be something like GBps, MBPS, right? In India, we'll see this. Okay, well, it can be, you can represent it in TBPS, but you don't need to, right? But what is important? PS per second, right? So those who have given responses like sorry, yeah, so those who have given responses like 10 GB, 1.25 GB, 12.5 GB will not be correct answer, right? Even if the value is correct, may or may not be, your answer will not be correct. Why? Because your what does 12 GB mean? 12 GB in a day, 12 GB per second, or 12 GB within an hour. Okay, that does not define the bandwidth. It is per unit data manipulated or data worked with per unit time. Now, what is per unit time in our case? It is per second. Okay, so it is generally represented as GB per second and MB per second. Now we are done with these two. So we are done with these two PS. Okay, what is this B? Okay, so it is bits, BITS. Okay, so whenever I represent small b, this means it is bits. Very important for solving these type of questions. Okay, when I say capital B, it is bytes. Okay, never get confused with this. So how would you read this? It is megabits per second. How would you read this? Megabytes per second. Is there a difference? Yes, a lot. Right? Yeah, so these things you have to keep in mind. Okay, now what I am now we'll try to find out the mathematical formula for finding bandwidth. Okay, so what does it say? The 6250 requests are being handled. So what said, let's say there is this data, sorry, the client, and this is data center, and all our requests are going in the form of packets. These are small packets of data. Okay, now with the question, what does it say? It is 200 kilobytes each, right? So each packet is 200 kilobyte size. Okay, if I want to write kilobyte, how will I write in short? K and B. I don't really worry about what is small k or large k. Is it like this k or this k? I don't really I'm not really bothered about that. What worries me is it this or this? Okay, so you need to be really aware of the last 3 digits of the bandwidth that is being given. Okay, so here what is it written? 200 kilobytes, right? BYTES. So I'll use capital B. So each packet is 200 kilobyte, and I'm sending 6250 requests per second, right? In bandwidth, what we saw as unit per second. This means if you take 6250 such requests and multiply them with the size of each, you will get the bandwidth, right? You will get the bandwidth. So what does bandwidth mathematically mean? It is number of requests into size of each. Okay, you can make your notes, no issues, but I will give you a solved PDF for this file. Okay, whatever questions I'm taking, I'll give you the solved PDF on the discourse. I mean, I will notify it on the discourse, but it will come to you in your portal. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can take your own notes because there may be something more that I'm speaking than what I'll be giving in the written format. Okay, so what does bandwidth mean? It is number of requests into size of each request. Simply multiplication of 2. Okay, so we understand the meaning. Now we'll just do the calculation. So it is 6250 requests. This is number, right? But what is important is it is per second, right? So I'll keep this per second with me into 200 kilobytes. Okay, as I said, in general, we'll put it in bits per second. Find it in bits per second. You can put G, M, and T according to your will. Or whenever it will come in question, it will come with the proper unit. It will ask you with the proper unit in what exactly unit it wants. Okay, but what is important, what you need to take care of is BPS. What comes here is depending on the question. Okay, so we'll find this answer in bits per second. Okay, so it is 200 kilobytes, right? This means 200 into 10 raised to power 3 bytes. Okay, now I know that one byte equals to 8 bits, right? In lectures, you may have seen it is approximately equals to 10 bits, but always use this relation. Okay, even if it is not given, do not use 1 byte equals to 10 bits. It is wrong, right? Use this relation. Okay, so one thing that you need to know, it is 1 byte equals to 8 bits. This is something that you need to know. Secondly, generally we have this confusion that, okay, 1 GB, how many megabytes does 1 GB make? It is 1024, right? 1024 megabyte. But we will take it as 1000, 10 raised to power 3. Okay. Generally we give this information like what to take, what relation to follow, but you need to take this, the second one. If by chance it is not given, we will make sure that it is given what to take, but if by chance it is not given, consider two things: 1 byte equal to 8 bits and 1 GB or any like the larger unit. What is greater than GB? It is TB, right? So 1 terabyte would be equals to 1000 gigabytes. This is something that we have to follow. Okay. So 10 raised to power 3, how does this come? Because I've converted this kilobytes to bytes. Okay. And next I have to multiply it with 8. Why do I have to multiply with 8? Because this value is in bytes, right? If 1 byte is 8 bits, what will be 2 into 10 raised to power 3 bytes? It will be 2 into 10 raised to power 3 into 8 bits. Okay. So whatever comes in, it will be bits. Right? This complete part represent bits. This complete part represents per second, right? Per second. So whatever answer we'll get will be in bits per second. What to put here, we'll see later. Okay, we'll multiply this. 6250 into 200 into 10 to the power 3 into 8. So it's okay, it's 1 into 10 raised to power 10. 1 into 10 raised to power 10 bits per second. Okay, but now this is not a standard unit, right? Bits per second, because there will be, yeah, if you can see here, these bits are in the order of 10 raised to power 10. There will be so many bits. Okay, not practical to implement or showcase this form. So what we'll do, we'll convert it into mega, giga or terabytes per second. Okay, now I'll simply try to write some relations here, right? So 1 kilobyte, 1 kilobyte equals to 1000 bytes. Okay, 1 megabyte will be equals to 1000 kilobytes, and 1 gigabyte will be equals to 1000 megabytes, right? So if I want to convert, want to write this gigabyte or bytes in the form of gigabytes, I'll check these, right? So 1000 into 1000 into 1000, right? So 1 gigabyte equals to 10 raised to power 9, right? So 333 bits, sorry, bytes. Okay, 1 gigabytes, 10 raised to power 9 bytes. So I can say that 1 gigabit, small one, is 10 raised to power 9 bits, small one, because I have divided the multiplied both the sides with 8. Okay, so multiplying both the sides with 8 will not make any difference, right? So 1 GB, 1 gigabit is equals to 10 raised to power 9 bits. Okay, so we can represent this into something similar, because 9 is closer to 10, right? The power here. Okay, so if I go here, I can say it is 10 into 10 raised to power 9. 10 raised to power 10 can be written like this. Okay, it is again bits per second. Okay, now if I put this 10 raised to power 9 bits into, convert this into gigabits, it will be simply 10 gigabits per second. So if you observe here, you will see that this capital G doesn't matter. I could have very well converted it into terabits per second. I could have kept it in the form of megabits per second. What matters is bits per second. Right? Any issue here?
Sir, every time when bandwidth is asked, does we have to give our answer in bits?
So see, that's what, right? So the important is you find your answer in bits per second. Okay, whatever is asked in the question, you find your answer in bits per second, and then depending on what is given in the question, you convert that, right? So I guess for this question options are given, but if you see, I converted what I did, I found out the answer in bits per second. That came out to be 10 raised to power 10. Now from here I can shift to any prefix, right? Giga, mega, tera. It will be very easy for me to move from here to there. Okay, what is important, what doesn't change is bits per second. Now if I had asked this question in what is the minimum bandwidth in megabits per second, you would have converted into megabits per second. Okay, only thing that you need to remember is this relation. Is anybody speaking? Dhruv, is there a background noise from your side? Okay, all right. So yeah, somebody asked this question, right? Is this clear? 100% will provide you the unit in what you have to represent. Otherwise we'll give you options. In that case, you have to figure out, okay, what should be the answer. Definitely, we will not give one correct option in gigabits per second and one correct option in megabits per second and ask it as an MCQ. That will not do, right? We'll either give options and give you the unit along with that. Then you have to, manipulate your answer in that unit and give the correct one. Or if it is an NET type, we'll give you the answer that is expected or the unit that is expected. Correct?
Sir, what my question was, like, if we are giving our answers in bytes, for example, if we convert it into gigabytes, then it would be 1.25 gigabytes. That was I was asking. But if we convert it into bits, so it will be 10 gigabits per second. That's
correct. Got it. That's what, right? So what I said, you need to, it depends on what it is asked. Okay. You divide this 10 gigabits per second, you divide this by 8, you will get your answer in gigabytes per second. But that is not how generally you represent your bandwidth. Right? If you are using Wi-Fi, just go and see what is the bandwidth. The unit should be Mbps. Capital M, small b, small p, small s. Okay. So we also have to take care of the practical aspects, right, with the code. So we will not give you, we will not try to write answers in any format possible, right? We will try to answer in the format that is understood by everyone. Okay, and if we are expecting the answer in any any particular format, we'll specify the format. If it is not given, if the format is not given, the question will be definitely MCQ, where the units will be given and you will have to figure out. I guess that is doable. And your answer in 1.25 gigabytes per second is also correct. No issues with that. Right? It depends on what unit it is asked.
Okay.
Understand? Okay. Okay, but things that I want you, you people to understand as in you keep in mind is, use this 1 byte equals to 8 bits. There has to be no confusion with this. The confusion arises with this, right? 1 gigabyte equals to 1024 megabyte or 1000. For simplification of calculation, generally we will take this. Okay. If nothing is given, that will not be the case. We will definitely provide you what relation to use. Okay, if the relation to use is given, let's say I'm saying that use this relation, the second one, I'm saying in the question explicitly use this relation, and if somebody is using this, see, you need to understand that this will be wrong answer. Okay, had it been a MCQ question, if it is an MCQ question, it is understandable, because with 1024 you will get some answer, not exactly 10 but something greater than 10, and from the MCQ, from the options given, you can understand, okay, 10 point something and 10 means some other relation may have been used, but the answer is same. It doesn't matter that way, practically it doesn't matter. But if it is a numerical answer type where you have to explicitly type in the answer, we will be expecting the answer with the relation that we are mentioning in the question. Okay, so read the question and the data provided with the question very, very carefully. Okay, read the units asked very, very carefully. You do not have to assume. That's what. So in the previous questions also, where the speed of light was taken as 3 into 10 raised to power 8. Right? It is correct. No issues with that. But do not assume it to be correct. You have to take the values that are given in the question. Okay. Because we are not here to check the authenticity of the answer. We want the concepts to be correct. I hope this is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, some discussion going on between some other bytes and bits. Okay, no issues. You can have this discussion, but what we are giving as a part of relation has to be. Okay, this is a strong message. All right, shall we move to the next question? Any doubt here? Any issues? Any question? Any problem with the bandwidth and definition of it? Okay. Now, what is minimum? Why do we need? Why is this minimum term used? See, because when I say 200 kilobytes, it will not be 200 kilobytes. It will be more than that. Okay, because some additional things will be added, some packaging will be added, some processing and data related to that processing will be added. Okay, you cannot simply send a request and give no context. Okay, the server will not know how to handle this request. Okay, so some additional information is also added. That additional information will take up some space. Okay, so if that additional information take up some space and this 200 becomes 205, okay, 200 becomes 205, it will be reflected here. Okay, so if this is reflected here, this 200 becomes 205, my answer will definitely become more than 10 gbps, right? It will be more than 10 gbps. If it is more than 10 gbps, and if I want to neglect or avoid or neglect all those additional things that are being added, I will say 10 gbps is the minimum you want. Okay, is the minimum. That's why we are using this minimum bandwidth, this term minimum here. Okay, so we will go with the next question now. I hope this is understood. Okay, familiar question? A certain video on web occupies 2 megabytes of memory of the server. If there are 5 million concurrent viewers of that video, assuming each viewer requires an individual connection to the server to view the video, what should be the minimum RAM requirement of the server? Okay, yeah, just I guess it is a simple question. The wordings are very large. Okay, we'll wait for some time and then we'll start. Yeah, so there is one doubt on discourse. I'm not sure if that same person is there in the live session. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so see, I'm writing it here. Okay, but okay, let me write in that question only. Yeah. So this one, right? This relation, this 2e8. Please do not assume it to be 2 into e to the power 8. This is not exponential. Okay, this e is not exponential. Okay, this is a mathematical representation of 2 into 10 raised to power 8. Okay, 2 into e to the power 8 does not make sense, right? In speed of light, we do not want to specify speed of light or any the data that is being transferred in the factors or in the multiples of exponential powers, right? So this is not 2e8. Okay, this is the representation. Okay, so don't get confused with the exponential. It's not exponential. Okay, so I am started to get the answer. Okay. Okay, so there is a difference, slight difference between the small v and capital V. Okay, I hope you have taken that into account. Okay, so Sanjeev, you have responded that I could not get the answer because of bits and bytes because I never knew. Okay, megabits P stand for bits. Okay, so is this clear, right? It's clear now, right? Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay. Okay, so shall we move ahead because we are running late. Okay, so we will move ahead with this question. Okay. Okay, so there I've seen some of the answers to be 10 terabyte and some of the answers as 10 terabits. Okay, so I hope you have considered what I've said like for the previous question. Okay, let's try to solve this. Okay, so what happens here is a certain video on the web occupies 2 megabytes of memory of the server, right? So there is a server. Okay, and then it has a memory and there is a video that is stored in the memory which takes size to capital B, right? It's megabyte. Okay, now what it says is if there are 5 million concurrent viewers of that video, assuming that each viewer requires an individual connection to the server to view the video. Okay, now what will happen? This server has a RAM. Okay, and then there are some viewers. In our case, these viewers are 5 million. 5 million. Okay, so every user is asking for the same video, right? Why? Because we are saying that 5 million concurrent viewers of that video. Okay, so every viewer is asking for the same video. What will the server have to do? Although it is a 2 megabyte video, it will have to individually give it to each server and play it according to its own speed, right? Let's say this server wants it to be played in 1.5, played it in 1.5. This user wants it to be in 0.5. This wants it in the normal speed. This is someone who pauses and plays. Okay, pauses and plays the video, right? In that case, what will happen? The change done by this client should not be reflected to this client, right? And the same with the others. For that, what will the server have to do? It will have to individually serve that video to each of the viewer, right? This is the concept. Did you understand this? So even though the video is 2 megabyte and doesn't look like a big deal for a server, the number of viewers that are viewing it are having their own choices of the way they want to view it. For that, what does the server need to do? It has to serve this video individually to that particular client, right? So what will happen at this RAM end then? What will happen at this RAM? This video will be called those many times as the many there are the viewers, right? If there are 5 million viewers, this RAM will have to process this video 5 million times parallelly. Why? Because there are concurrent viewers. It's not like one is finishing and the other is starting it off, right? So there are concurrent viewers. So this RAM has to have a very big size. Okay, how much? That we have to calculate by some numbers that are given, right? What is the logic of calculating this number? This video has to be processed that many times parallelly as many there are concurrent viewers. Okay, so what should be the size of RAM? 2 megabyte video taken, number of viewers times, right? Or 2 megabyte. Sorry for the spaces, I'm just given. So it is 2 megabyte into number of concurrent viewers, right? So in our case, it's 5 million. So we'll multiply this 2 megabyte into 5 million. What does 5 million is? It's 50 lakhs, right? So it is 5 into 10 raised to power 6. Okay. And we also know this mega stands for 10 raised to power 6. How do we know that? Because I'm telling it now, right? So it's 1. So it's KB, right? Kilobyte. Kilo stands for 10 raised to power 3. Mega stands for 10 raised to power 6. Giga stands for 10 raised to power 9. Tera stands for 10 raised to power 12. Okay. So just have to, you can keep in mind this 4, and the rest of the things will be done. So it will be 2 into 10 raised to power 6 into 5 into 10 raised to power 6 bytes. Okay, I'll keep the bytes as it is. All right, so what it came out to be? It came out to be 10 into 10 raised to power 12 bytes. Okay, now what is 10 raised to power 12? Tera. So it is 10 tera bytes. It's not bits. Okay, so this one is the right one. This is not the correct one. And now logically, if you think, if somebody asks you what is the size of your RAM, do you say it's 16 GB or you say it's 16 into 8? How much it is? 96, is it? 128. Do you say it is 16 GB or you say it as it is 128 gigabits? Right. So you give the answer of memory in terms of bytes, okay, with the proper prefix. Okay, that's why in general, if you go logically, you would say that the answer should come in some gigabytes, megabytes, terabytes, but bytes should be there. Is bits wrong? No, it's not wrong. 10 TB is definitely wrong, but if I wanted to say 80 terabits, this is definitely correct. But this is not how we generally give the idea or the unit of memory. Okay, please note, initially we were talking about bits per second, that was for bandwidth. Now we are talking about memory, it will be in bytes with the proper prefix. Right? Any issues here? Okay, so see 100 terabytes per second, definitely we are not asking for bandwidth, right? We are asking about the size of RAM. What should be the minimum RAM requirement, that is size of RAM, not the bandwidth. Any issues here with this question? Anyone? Any issues? Okay. Are the so these are something that we expect that you to know from week 1 content in the form of numerical part. Is that it? No, we will have different types of numericals as we proceed when we add certain more features, but this is not this is out of the scope of week 1 content, right? But this is something that we wanted you to know in the week 1 content. So I hope this part is clear. I have tried to clear these concepts in the form of these 5 questions, right? So if there is any issue with like from these 5 questions, just let me know. We'll try to clear that. Okay, so for some questions that are related to this, I guess you can refer to the previous term questions. Okay, I'm not sure if it is available to you all, but you can refer to the previous term questions just to see like how these questions are framed and all, right? And generally these questions come from computer architecture. So any book on organization of computer or architecture of computer, okay, you can find these type of questions. Okay, there is no specific book that I would want to specify here because this is general concepts of computer, right? Memory. So you know that any book would give this concept to. All right, and if you, I guess, for the scope of questions that we ask in quiz, in practice, graded from the week 1 content, I hope, I'm sure this much is sufficient, more than sufficient. see, if we are asking you for a question of, if the requirement, see what is the question here, what should be the minimum RAM requirement in gigabytes? If something like this is specified and you're writing your answer in gigabits, that will definitely be taken as wrong. See, these questions are more of a general questions, right? I don't want to specify a particular unit because I don't want you to stick to one unit, right? That is why I have not specifically given units here. But in the question that will come for quiz and other graded questions and end term, units will definitely be mentioned in the question, and you will have to follow or give the answers for that question. Okay, for this question, 10 terabytes and 80 terabits both are correct. Okay, for this question. Okay, yeah, somebody raised their hand. Somebody raised his hand, right? Are you there? Still there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me.
Sir,
okay, is anybody noting? Should I stop the share the screen? Should I stop sharing the screen, or is anybody noting? I'll give the solutions, don't worry. Okay, I'll stop.
I think you can stop.
Yeah, thanks.
Sir, can we say that
the
RAM requirement is directly proportional to the bandwidth? Like if the bandwidth is more larger, so the RAM requirement for at the server end is more larger.
No, you cannot say. You consider a situation where we are not talking about concurrent viewers. Okay, in that case, if there is only one concurrent viewer. Okay, let's say there is only one viewer to that video. What should be the minimum size of RAM? The size of video.
The size of video, yeah. For
2 mega, yeah. But now this is the size of RAM that is required to process the video so that it comes to you. Now, if you have a bandwidth that is, let's say, very less in kbps, okay, you will have some problems. Okay, or if your bandwidth is very good, let's say in gigabits per second, you will not have any problem. Does it have to do with what kind of RAM the server was having? So both are different, right? Gigabits bandwidth is generally from the client side, because the client wants to receive and send data. Send data means send request, right? Some data is being sent in the form of request. So the better when do you call your connection a very good connection? Because when you have a better bandwidth. Okay, when do you call a server a good server? When it has a very good RAM. Okay, so the RAM is something that is when we are talking in the context of server, and bandwidth is something when we are talking with the context of client, because bandwidth is defined by the client and the server, the connection, but the RAM is something that is specific to server. Okay, so both are independent.
Okay, sir. So we can say that the RAM requirement is depends on the number of concurrent requests that it gets, and for bandwidth, yes, we can say that it depends on the amount of data that
per user is making.
Per user. Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Satyam. Okay. Was it you already?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Any other doubt? Okay. I see that so many have left. Is it really late? Okay. Fine.
Yes, sir. It's 10:15 almost.
Okay. Fine. So if there are no doubts, we can wind up. No issues. I have explained or given you what I wanted to.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So if there are no doubt, we can call it a day. We can end up the session.
For now, there is not, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
हमको नहीं रोना, आपको रोना है ना, आपको रोना पड़ेगा, हमको तो दिखाने ही का समय है अभी, हम बाद में किसको दिखाएंगे। एकदम समान क्या करना है तुमको, समान फोटो क्यों ले रही हो, है ही नहीं। क्या है JM, यार तुम क्या बोलते हो इस माँ
नहीं खाने को मना नहीं, सर वही बता बात में समझता है